Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Dricus Du Plessis up against Darren Till this weekend. Dricus, an absolute banger on paper. Big name for you. I just wanted to see your thoughts when this name first came about for you on the contract. Was there ever any doubt? Big name, but he's pulled out of a lot of fights at the last minute. So what was your first reaction to signing for it?
Yeah, I mean, fights before this, when I was supposed to fight Chris Curtis, pulled out. Then I got the fight with Hernandez. They gave me the fight with Gastelum that pulled out. So we've had quite a fair share of pullouts in the past year. So it definitely made it a something to consider as a team. Listen, is this the smart thing to do? We don't want to prep again, and this is the last event of the year. There's no fights to get. Now I was supposed to get 3 or 4 fights in this year, and because of pullouts and everything, I only got in. This will be my second. So I know that sucks, but it is what it is. But like I said, I'm very in touch with how things are going to go down with what I know and feel is my path, my destiny to get to that belt. And my whole career has been that. It's been a star-traveled way. The plan has already been laid down. It's been set. Everything is going to happen the way it should happen. And this fight, as soon as I got the fight, people were still worrying about, oh, maybe he'll show up. Darren Till's not going to show up. He's going to put out. I knew from day one this fight is going to happen. I knew it. Here we are now. Everyone is like, don't get your hopes up. This fight's not going to happen. I refuse to listen to that. That actually pissed me off a little because I'm like, what do you guys expect? You expect me to not train for Darren Till because he's definitely going to pull up. So it's such a dumb comment to make, Obviously for Darren, he didn't want to pull out. He wanted to come out and do what he does best. This is his job. He needs to fight as well. So obviously there's circumstances that prevented him from fighting. And you can't just blame a guy for not fighting. So yeah, that was a little bit of a negative part for the whole fight, where that was in the space where people could have been super excited about this fight. People are super excited about it now, but there's still some people saying, "Oh, he's not going to make it." Listen, guys, we're at Tuesday. Listen, never say never, but chances are we are going to fight. And since the day I agreed to this fight, I knew this fight was going to happen, and I can tell you now, this fight is going to happen Saturday night.
How big of an opportunity lies ahead of you? You speak to South Africans, there's so much love for you, but they speak kind of with a huge excitement when they talk about you, about just how good you are. So is this when you take it to the next level? This would arguably be the biggest name that you've beaten so far.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely the biggest name I've beaten so far. I mean, it's up until yesterday, he was number 9 in the world. He's still number 10 in the world. That's no joke, in our sport, being a number 10 ranked UFC fighter, it makes you the 10th best fighter in the world. Darren Till, one of the biggest names in the whole organization, in the sport of mixed martial arts, even though he's been on a skid and not performing the way we know he can for the past few fights. No, for me, this is a massive opportunity, not because I got lucky and got myself a top 10 fight. That's not what it was. They gave me a top 15 gatekeeper, a top 15 stud in Brad Tavares, who's an absolute killer in there. He's fought the Who's, he's fought the champ, he's fought Whitaker, he's fought Romero. Went to decisions with, well, Whitaker knocked him out, but went to a decision with all those badass names. And I went in there, couldn't get him out of there, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. But I proved that, listen, this is not one punch knockout power I possess. This is not just I go out there, submit a guy, go out there, knock a guy out. Otherwise, I gas out like a lot of people do. I go out there with the full swing, and I can keep that up for 3 rounds, and I'm going to come at you for 3 rounds. So yes, this is the biggest name of my career that I'm fighting for my career, but definitely the biggest opportunity to show that this is not something that I just fell into. Oh, I got lucky and got the Darren fight. I might win. I'm definitely winning this fight, and I deserve to win this fight because I've done the hard yards. I've put in years and years and years, just like Darren's put in the years. Darren slipped up. I'm not slipping up. I'm not slipping up my training camp. I'm not letting go of my nutrition. I'm not letting go of anything. I'm not letting anything get in the way of me and my dreams and my destiny. And this fight's going to prove that no matter who you put in front of me, I will find a way to beat them and do it convincingly and do it in spectacular fashion.
In terms of his style, do you relish that? Do you think we're going to see a striking war here? When you envision knocking him, do you envision knocking him out? Is that how this fight's going to end?
I can tell you, I don't envision going to judges' scorecards. That's one thing I don't envision. You know, a lot of people say, "Hey, just take Darren Till down. Just take him down," and you know, he's grappling. I'm like, guys, chill out. This is the UFC. This is top 10 in the world. Yes, he's grappling and wrestling. Didn't look great against, let's say, Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson is a Division 2 or Division 1. I'm not 100% sure, but he's an excellent wrestler. I've trained with him. He is a strong guy. And no shame. And obviously, his wrestling is and grappling is where his weaknesses lie. No doubt about that. That's not his strength. I wouldn't call it a weakness. I would say that's not his strength. Whereas I don't see that I have a strength or a weakness in a fight. That's what makes me different. I don't care where this fight plays out, and that's why I can't say that's why you're not going to figure me out. I go out there and I see what I get. Now, when the striking doesn't go my way, I'll test it on the ground. I'll try to get that wrestling exchanges. But you know, if I'm getting my way in the stand up, I'm going to keep it there. You know, it's almost like you can feel somebody's style, whether it's flowing with yours or not. And I'm not going out there and saying, I'm going to take Darren Till down or I'm going to strike with Darren Till. I'm going to just try and clinch Darren Till. No, I will see when we get there. I'm going out there to put on a spectacular performance and do whatever I have to win the fight. That be by knockout, submission, ground and pound. Even if it has to be a decision, I'll do that. I'll take the win. That's the most important part. But entertaining the fans, putting up entertaining fights, convincing wins. That's what I'm after, and proving that I belong with the top of the top of the division and the number one fighters in the world. That's where I belong with the top guys, and that's what this fight's about: is proving that I can hang with the best of the best.
If this goes your way, you're only going one place, and that's the top of the division. How much are you intrigued by the belt changing hands recently? You speak to somebody like Luke Rockhold, and he says, you know, I'd come out of retirement now that Pereira's got the belt. There seems to be this idea that Pereira can be got at maybe easier than Izzy could have done. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I see. This is Pereira is an extremely powerful, massive dude. Seen him and met him before. Massive dude. He's a big middleweight. But I think where people see the hole and the opportunity is, Izzy was quite a decorated MMA striker. Well, obviously striking outside of UFC, but he had, I think, 13 or some odd MMA fights, 13-0 when he signed with the UFC. So he's had his MMA experience. Where Pereira came in with what, 6-1 record or 4-1 record, 4-1. That's ridiculous. Coming in 4-1 record. Obviously, he only got the big opportunity because of who he was, and this is something. Obviously, he won his fights, but somebody else in his with that record, with his resume, wouldn't have necessarily got the call up to UFC. But he was the guy to knock Izzy out once and beat him twice. So he got fast tracked, but deservingly so. He didn't just get, oh, let's fight easy. He beat a top 5, top 10 guy. But I think to take Pereira lightly will be a big mistake for anybody. But I do see more opportunity for guys in the division that has lost to Izzy beating Pereira. I think a guy like Whitaker has the tools to beat a guy like Pereira, where it seems that Izzy was Whitaker's kryptonite. You know, a guy like Marvin Vittori has more tools to actually beat Pereira because it becomes a power match. We saw with the wrestling and grappling exchanges, even against the non-wrestler, non-grappler like Izzy, how tired Pereira got. And I think that's something that people will exploit, where Izzy has been a master at not getting taken down and defensive wrestling. I feel Pereira hasn't quite perfected the art of not getting taken down. And where he's now in his career, his age, everything, and the killers that are on his trail right now, it's going to be very hard to find a learning curve because everybody saw what Izzy did to him on the ground and what he did to Izzy too. Listen, he got a takedown on Izzy. How many guys can say that? But I think there was a lot of holes exposed that I think the top of the division guys can expose. So I think the belt changing hand was good for the middleweight division. Not for me necessarily, because everybody's had the shot at Izzy. So, I mean, I was in a position where everybody's fought Izzy in the top 6 or 7. So whoever's coming in as new blood can get a shot quicker. But you know, I would have loved to be the guy to dethrone the probably one of the best middleweight champions to ever do the sport. But you know, that's gone, and I think it changed up the whole division and got everybody excited again. I think it got everybody to a place where who's going to be the guy to fight Pereira? Is Pereira the real deal? Did he just come in this to beat Easy? To, like all the memes say, wherever you go, I'll show you I can do it better? Or is he for real one of the best combat sports athletes to ever walk the earth?
Speaking of new blood, Khamzat Chimaev, I mean, Kevin Holland was saying he'd just straight up retire if the UFC gave him a title shot, having not beaten any of the top ranked guys at middleweight. Would that bug you? And are you now having to look at Chimaev as another guy you might have to take out to get to this belt?
And I would love to take Chimaev out to get to this belt. If he gets a straight title shot, that would make no sense at all. He hasn't even fought a ranked middleweight, not once. So I don't understand how that works, to be honest. Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's the UFC. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you can either sit and complain about it. Kevin Holland, loved the dude. Like, actually, I've called him out a few times, but massive fan of the guy. He's an exciting guy to watch fight. I can laugh at him. He's a funny dude, but I'm not going to sit and complain about it. I'm not going to. The only thing I can do is show up, entertain fans, become the superstar that I know I can be. When everybody that steps in front of me in spectacular fashion and get that title shot, whether it comes out who has it. What happens at the title doesn't concern me. I'm not at the title yet. When I get there, that will become my concern. My concern right now is Darren Till. And after that, it will be the next task ahead of me. I don't concern myself with what's ever happening at the title. That's between the UFC and whoever is hanging around there. So for me, I'm concerned about what's happening in my career and what I need to do to become the champion and become the greatest to ever do this.
Fantastic stuff. Going to finish off with a quick fire about some of your UFC colleagues, if that's all right. So who's the hardest hitter in the UFC?
Hottest hit in the UFC, Francis Ngannou, no doubt.
That is a very popular answer with good reason. Who is the funniest?
Funniest guy in the UFC? Bryce Mitchell's pretty funny. I enjoy Paddy. He's a funny guy. Kevin Holland, also a treat when it comes to the humor.
Who's the most annoying?
Most annoying fight in the UFC? Oh, wow. Who annoys you the most in the UFC? Let's see. I'll come back to that one. Let me think about it.
Who's the hottest?
Hottest girl in the UFC?
Hottest girl, hottest guy, whatever.
Oh, I heard you say. Me.
Who would you most like to have dinner with?
Dana White.
Who has the best fight IQ?
Best fight IQ? Whew. I think a guy with a very, very, very high fight IQ is to make the necessary changes. It's a calculated style. It's not always the most exciting style. I think Kamaru Usman is one of those guys who's managed to be able to, when he's fighting a striker, make the game plan, do what he has to do to beat a striker. Same with Israel Adesanya. I think between the two of them, that's a great mix of fight IQ right there, doing what they have to win. And even when it comes to striking, not only out wrestling a wrestler, but out striking a striker with IQ and not with brute force.
Who's the most interesting female fighter?
Most interesting female fighter? She's Zhang Wei Li is one of the. I would love to see what makes her tick. I think if you look at the training regime, I would love to see what she does, because it seems like no matter, it looks like she can't get any better, and she just keeps on getting better. I would love to see what's the secret behind what she does.
Who would you want by your side in a street fight?
In a street fight, I would not Ramazan. I would say Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a good guy to have in your team. I think he's had his experience. I think it's a good guy to have next to you. And yeah, that's it. I would pick him in a street fight. I think he'd be a good backup partner. I think he wouldn't run away. I think he'd stick it out, and he's had his fair share of street fights, I would assume. So that's a good guy to have.
Who's the best dressed, most stylish?
Ah, man, going to go without Conor McGregor on that by far.
Best wrestler?
Best wrestler in the UFC. If you go on stats, you would say Curtis Blades. In my opinion, the best wrestler in the UFC is Michael Chandler. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I don't think we see him using it as often as he has to, but every time that he's had to wrestle, he's done it. He's done what he had to. He's gotten the takedown. I mean, we saw that with Boyer. Obviously, lost the fight. We saw it with the champ as well, getting the takedowns when needed. I think he's out to put on exciting fights and make it a dog fight and brawling. But I think when it comes to wrestling, he's increased everything. Michael Chandler, Kamaru Usman, those are the guys that I believe probably one of the best wrestlers. Oh, and Colby Covington definitely deserves an honorable mention for that.
Good choices. And who has the coolest tattoos?
The coolest tattoos, TJ has some pretty bad tats. Yeah, TJ has some bad tats. Massive fan of Cody's neck tats. That's pretty rad. And who else has some cool tattoos? Sean O'Malley, he has pretty bad tattoos. I like it.
We'll see. Anybody for most annoying?
Excuse me?
Anybody for most annoying fighter in the UFC?
Anybody for most annoying fighter? Geez, there has to be somebody. Like, I know there's definitely fighters that I see that are just annoy me when I see them. Like, just, I don't know what it is. Don't know them personally. They just annoy me. So, who's the most annoying fighter? I'm going to be on it right now. Probably Paulo Costa. He's the most annoying fighter in the UFC, Paulo Costa. You could tell him I said that.
Be a good fight. Last question. Dream fight, past or present, any weight class?
Dream fight, past or present. I would have absolutely loved it. No, just wrong age, wrong era. And no, I think you could still do it. I would have loved to share the cage with the great, the GOAT, Anderson Silva. I would have loved to have had the opportunity and had the honor of sharing a cage with him and fighting him. I think that would have been, no matter whether he become champion or not, like whether it's a championship bout, double championship, no matter the status, I think for me to share the cage with the guy who inspired me to become a UFC fighter, the guy that's the first guy I ever looked up to as a fighter, to have shared the cage with him, that would have been it, Anderson Silva.
Dricus, maximum respect. It's been super fun. Good luck. Should be a belter. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.